Wheelies are not just for showing off. Far from it. In fact, the technique we use to lift our front wheel up off the ground comes in handy more often than you'd expect. The skill that we'll focus on today is the starting point for not only wheelies, but drops, manuals, and even riding onto stuff. What's up? I'm Aaron. Welcome to Super Rider. This is where we break down complex bike skills into easy to learn techniques so you can quickly apply them to your riding. In the last two videos, we worked on lifting and moving each wheel using a technique called unweighting. As a quick refresher, unweighting is when we pull our body away from the part of the bike that we want to lift. Today, we're going to take what we've learned so far and continue to focus on getting our front wheel off the ground. We'll combine the unweighting with pedal power, which is going to dramatically increase what we can do with this. This bike skill will unlock an entire series of advanced skills. So while it might feel like we're going super deep on wheelie basics right now, understand that you're building the foundation for some massive progression on the bike. Before we dive into the technique, let's quickly talk about the bike. The best piece of advice I can give you is how I maximize my braking power while also maximizing my bike control. I keep my hands on the bars as wide as possible, and I use just one finger to grab the end of the brake lever. In this position, I'm grabbing the brake with the most amount of leverage while I've got the most fingers still on the handlebar. This can take a little time to adjust to, but you'll get maximum control like this. As always, and especially with skills like this, I recommend starting with flat pedals if at all possible. You'll frequently find yourself off balance, so it's best to have a flat pedal so you can easily step off the bike if necessary. With any sort of wheelie motion, I'm normally in my third or fourth gear and back, whichever one feels like the right combination of fast and powerful pedaling. This can sometimes take a little time to find which is right for you, so maybe test both gears and see which works best. We started this lesson talking about unweighting, so for context, let me show you what this motion looks like with and without unweighting. I'll start by keeping my weight over the bike. See how I have to fight against the bike to get my front wheel up when the weight is forward? Now look how much easier that front end comes up when I'm off the back of the bike. Now that we've got all of that out of the way, we can start focusing on building up this technique. Let's start by throwing back to the original technique we worked on in the last video. We're gonna work on unweighting that front wheel by moving our hips from the handlebars to the back of the bike. So roll slowly with your pedals level and just work on that quick movement of your hips from the front of the bike to the back of the bike. That's going to unweight the front wheel, it's going to help lift it up off the ground, and that's what we're going to build on today. Remember that we can also use that rowing motion with our arms to help guide the front wheel up, but most of the work is being done with our hips and center of gravity. Now it's time to add some pedal power. In this next step, we're going to test adding a half pedal to this movement. Roll with your opposite foot on the top of the pedal stroke. I'm right foot forward when I ride, so in this scenario, my left foot is on top. As I'm rolling along, I do the same motion of taking my hips from the handlebar to the back of the bike, but I also push down that top pedal. The combination of these two things should bring your front wheel up much higher than it's gone before. A big reason why we talked about our hand position on the bars and over the brakes in the beginning of this video is because we want to have a lot of control over both the bike and our brakes. If you feel this front wheel come up too quickly, grab that back brake and your front wheel will instantly drop. The next thing to do is build control with our pedaling. This time around, try to get an entire pedal stroke before your front wheel hits the ground. One thing to know is that we always start with our opposite foot at the top of the pedal stroke whenever we're doing this wheelie motion. And the reason for that is that first pedal with your opposite foot brings your front wheel off the ground as your strong foot gets to the top of the pedal stroke. And from that position, you can do a variety of different things, which is why this is such a foundational move. One tip that will definitely help you is using your elbows and your knees to keep balanced on the bike. As you start applying power to the pedals, you're gonna start leaning off to the right and to the left. And so you need to use your knees to give yourself that nice stable platform so you can keep riding forward. Just remember, practice makes progress. At this stage, you're going to be working on that side-to-side balance just as much as you're working on lifting that front wheel and keeping it up in the air. You might feel like you're watching the world's longest tutorial for standing wheelies, but the truth is, this skill is vital for you to progress as a rider. The same technique we're working on today is the foundation for how we drop off of obstacles and how we ride up onto obstacles, which are the next two skills that we're going to learn. But before we do that, we need to work on one drill. This drill is called Wheelbase, wheelbase, and it's important for you to get a feel for how long it takes your pedals to come around. What we're going to do is put a line on the ground and roll up to it with our opposite foot on the top of the pedal stroke. As our front wheel crosses the line, we're going to initiate the pedal movement and lift the front wheel off the ground, and we're going to keep our front wheel off the ground until our back wheel crosses that line. This particular drill keeps us in control of the bike for the length of the bike's wheelbase. If you can keep your front wheel off the ground for that long, you'll be in a stable position to ride on and off of obstacles. If you want to push it just a little bit, see if you can go longer than a wheelbase with your front wheel off the ground. If this video was helpful for you, consider sharing it with someone you ride with. If you want to keep progressing on the bike, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can see the next lesson. And if you can't wait that long, go check out this playlist right here with all the videos we've done so far. Have fun out there, and don't forget, practice makes progress.